anyone investing in Bitcoin, I say to them, you have to play the long game with this. You have to be thinking multi-year, even decade, multi-decade. The reason being is Bitcoin is volatile in the short term. You can't create a new asset and go from $0 to $64,000 without some volatility.
Can you share with people what's going on in El Salvador with the legal tender? I was on a call with the president. There was 25,000 people on the Spaces and Twitter. It was amazing to see what's unfolding. But for the 0.01% of people, the 5% of people who don't know exactly what's happening in El Salvador, you're there right now. Can you kind of explain the last couple of months of what's happening with Bitcoin in El Salvador and becoming legal tender and everything behind the scenes?
Yeah, it's really overwhelming, firstly, and it's a lot to try and get your head around, because when I first got into Bitcoin, you would hear these people talk about hyper Bitcoinization. I was like, yeah, cool story, bro, whatever. Like, yeah, Bitcoin is cool. We can send it around to each other. We have censorship resistance, and that's really cool. We have this asset, but this idea of nation states adopting Bitcoin and Bitcoin becoming a reserve currency for the world, I was like, nah, that's not going to happen. It just was naturally, and fuck, it's happened, dude, and it's unbelievable. So, where do we start? El Salvador has a rough history, but what they have in Nayib Bukele is this interesting president who has his critics and has his fans, but he's not fucking around, right? He's made the decision that Bitcoin can create opportunity for the people of Venezuela. And he's taken this step whereby he has put forward to the government a bill which would make Bitcoin legal tender, but not only make it legal tender, that every economic agent has to accept Bitcoin. Like, this country now has two currencies. It has the dollar and it has Bitcoin. It is legal tender. People want Bitcoin. People want to use Bitcoin. Not everyone. Education is important. Some people just accept Bitcoin because it's a form of money and they just want to sell something. Others get it. But it's a very, very early shoot. There are some places up the coast who now accept Bitcoin, and there's some places in San Salvador. But what's happened so far in the grand scheme of things is very small. What is about to happen is very big. This is nationwide. Every economic agent must accept Bitcoin.
I'm trying to figure out ways to comprehend and explain how to bridge the gap where this is the first country. What has to happen for it to continue to be legal tender in other countries? Do they have to fully prove it? Do the Bitcoiners behind the scenes have to continue working hard and really selling the politicians and the president on Bitcoin? What do you feel like has to happen that we could possibly help with too? Just continuing to support, spread the word, or what?
Well, you have to think about the way Bitcoiners are to think how we got here. And this kind of brings into conversation the shitcoins, right? So a lot of people talk about adoption. How do we encourage adoption? The most important point is, if you want adoption, it has to happen without trade-offs. The most important thing is that Bitcoiners continue to do what they do, which is focus on the protocol, focus on education, and defend Bitcoin at all costs. And when we talk about education, it's educating people why Bitcoin is so much more important than all these other shitcoins. It's educating people on how to use it. It's educating people on volatility, how to manage those aspects. They're all super important. I don't think you need to push Bitcoin to people. People find Bitcoin when they need it. And whether that's you as an individual or a country, I think other countries are going to realize that there are way more benefits to the people of their country by having a fixed limit, censorship resistant, trustless money within their country, which can settle globally almost instantly on the Light network, and within pretty much an hour on the base chain. I think people are going to just see this. I think Bitcoin is unstoppable, and I think Bitcoin will continue to spread around the world because good money forces out bad money. And Bitcoin is the best form of money we've ever had.
I want to talk to Peter about, you talked about how you've been studying Bitcoin and not just the currency, but the technology.
Right.
And for me, studying and reading and really trying to dive in, you said you still don't understand everything, but you're obviously continuing to educate yourself. Why Bitcoin for you? So the things that you do understand, that you do like, that you do create certainty in, what are some of those things that you can share with people that are still not 100% sold? And whether they're sold or not, I mean, possibly you don't care. But in general, I want to figure out of all the things you've studied and researched and like learned, what things stick out that you're like, this is here to stay. What are a couple of the main things?
I mean, there's two ways to approach that. You can talk about what I've learned, but you can also talk about the signal. Look out there in the market, what's happening. We have a country that's adopted Bitcoin. We don't have a country that's adopted any other of the cryptocurrencies. We have MicroStrategy, Square, Tesla, despite Elon Musk being a dick all the time, they've all adopted Bitcoin. They've all held it in their reserves. They're not holding Ethereum in their reserves. And there's reasons for this. Bitcoin, in some ways, is boring. And the way it's boring is its strength. It has a very hard, rigid monetary policy that has never changed. Bitcoin has never changed its monetary policy. It is really hard to change. And it is so for a reason, because Bitcoin has to do a couple of things very well. It has to enforce its 21 million Bitcoin limit. So we know that the supply is fixed, which is a really important point in a world of inflationary sovereign currencies. And it has to maintain decentralization, which enables censorship resistant money. This isn't about me and how much money I can make. This is about something that's revolutionary for the world. Money causes so many fucking problems. When you have the ability to print money to go to war, all these things are anti-freedom, and let's call it what it is, it's bullshit. But we have a global reserve currency now, which doesn't allow that. It protects property rights. It prevents governments printing money to buy missiles and warships and bomb people halfway around the world. And, it's not going to solve everything, but it's certainly a step in the right direction.
What is your mentality and thought process with all the fake news? It seems like when Bitcoin dips, there's 400 new articles and 90% of them are fake. When Bitcoin goes up, there's not much of anything talking negative. It's just funny how that works. I'm realizing very clearly that the people that talk down or try to say it's certain things that are negative, they either don't understand or they have conflicting interests, right? So what is your thought process when Bitcoin takes a crazy dip? Are you so long-term that you're not worried about it at all? Because I want to share with some people that have invested heavily that maybe do get fearful. How do you handle the ups and downs and the fake information out there and everyone talking bad about it when it's down? Well,
I mean, that's a great question. It's really, how does it affect my personal wealth, but also like, what do I make of the FUD itself? So let's talk about personal wealth. Anyone investing in Bitcoin, I say to them, you have to play the long game with this. You have to be thinking multi-year, even decade, multi-decade. The reason being is Bitcoin is volatile in the short term. You can't create a new asset and go from $0 to $64,000 without some volatility. Of course you've got volatility because people are still buying stuff with their dollars. When the market shoots up and they want to sell out and make $10 million, go and buy a Lamborghini or a house, like I get it, that's fine. You have volatility. But if you look at the long-term trajectory of Bitcoin, the price keeps growing. So I always say, if you're going to do this, you need to dollar cost average and you need to have a long-term trajectory. I mean, look, the maximum time I think it takes a Bitcoin to mature in price is around 4 years, right? Because we have halving cycles. So, you should not be buying any Bitcoin that you're understanding that it might take 4 years for that to fully mature as a coin. And one of the most interesting things about it is kind of changed my worldview. I went from broke to being essentially a digital millionaire in terms of Bitcoin and shitcoins to nearly broke again, and to then just creating a business that makes a solid income. It's really strange, actually. I never felt shit about it. I mean, I was disappointed. I was like, I could have done this, but I had so much fun. I was like flying around the world, and I bought a nice watch and a car, and got to do some nice things. And yes, it would have been great to have not lost that money, but it was the biggest lesson. And I was trading every coin, back and forth, whatever. And when I lost it all, I was like, okay, I can't do this again. I don't want to look at screens all day, every day, and I don't want to go through that emotional roller coaster. So what I'm going to do is build a business, which I'm good at. My podcast is a business. So I'm just going to build a business, and I'm going to buy Bitcoin and hold Bitcoin. And that's what I've done. All I do is excess money goes into Bitcoin. And that has been the best investment decision I've ever made, because I did the toughest thing, which is wait 4 years. I did it over a 4-year period. And when the market moved up, it put me in a better position. And look, I'm not rich. Probably never will be. And I'm not too bothered about that. Like, I have enough money to have a nice life with my kids and my family. But what I have is financial stability. And, the other thing is, look, I've been rich and I've been poor. It never actually makes a big difference to your happiness, because it's all relative. Like, if you make $5 million and then you go and buy yourself $1 million house, the Lamborghini, within a few months, that just becomes your life. And it's like, oh, okay, what next? It's like a drug. Okay, I need the £5 million house and I need the Bugatti. It never really makes you happy. What I've learned being like rich, poor, married, divorced, drug addict, clean, is that just being fulfilled every day. Like, do you know what? The most important thing I ever had in my life is controlling my time. I can wake up every day and do what I want. I've got to get 3 podcasts out a week, right? But I can choose today to go swimming, talk to you guys, go to the beach, go and grab coffee in El Tunco. I can fly next week to Guatemala if I want, or Brazil. I can go home. Like, especially online these days, you can create many businesses online. You've got an online business, but having control over your time is the most important thing. Because I put out this tweet once. I was like, there's 2 scarce assets in the world that matter: Bitcoin and time. Okay? Time is a depreciating asset that you have. You don't know if tomorrow it's over or you've got 50 years, but whatever happens, there is a limit to how much time you have. And if you only choose money, one of the things you can do is shorten your time, because you fuck your health up. And you also don't get it to experience life. And so now I'm like, the balance I have to strike in life is how I use my time and how much Bitcoin I own, and then how am I going to use that to live the best life possible. Honestly, I've never been happier in life. I'm not my richest, I'm not my poorest, but in terms of owning my time, I feel rich. Honestly, I feel so blessed to be in this position to do this job. And I would say to anyone out there, if you're chasing money, not just me, I know many people will turn around to you and say, listen, it's good to have a good financial base, but it's not going to lead to ultimate happiness. Happiness is going to be control over your time and doing a job you like, feeling fulfilled, seeing friends, seeing family, being healthy. It sounds like a cliche, but it's really true.
If people are watching and they want to get more involved, what's the action based on the current state of the market? Is it just buy more Bitcoin and educate? Is it wait till the dip? Is it just continue buying? What's kind of the overall action people should take right now as they watch this video over the next couple of days, weeks, months, and years?
Well, listen, look, the first thing you need to do is just buy a bit of Bitcoin, because you need skin in the game. It doesn't matter if it's $50, $100, and moving that Bitcoin around is a real kind of light bulb moment, because when you move that bit of Bitcoin, you realize that happens without any central authority. It's a decentralized network that makes that happen. And that's amazing itself. And listen, people are going to be tempted by shitcoin marketing, blockchain revolutions, blah, blah, blah. And I get it, but just do the research. If you're in it to just get rich and make money and you want to go and trade, cool, go and trade. Just remember, like 95% of people lose money. It's very few who make money. Speak to the people who've been through this. You'll see other people who've made a lot of money and be tempting, and maybe you're a great trader and good luck to you. But if you are going to trade, be very careful, don't use leverage. But the people I know have made the most money, they follow 2 simple rules. They dollar cost average and they hodl. And that hodl period is being patient year in, year out, through the ups, through the downs, because each time you go through a cycle, you can see a 10, 20% increase in your net wealth. So just build up through those periods and look for that. It's not easy. It's not easy. When you see Bitcoin halve in price, look, you can sit there and go, shit, this is tough. You know, my personal trainer, I know I'm a fatty, but I do have a personal trainer. We've been training for years. And a lot of the Bitcoin he bought was underwater, and he just stuck with it and stuck with it and stuck with it. We've hit this run, and now his net wealth has increased like 10, 15x, which is amazing. Do the research. You got to do the work, do the hard work. You know, you've really got to put the time in. But it's out there. People are writing articles. People are making podcasts. People are running webinars. They're doing clubhouses. They're doing Twitter spaces. You've got to put the work in, and you've got to spend time learning this shit. Ideally, they focus on Bitcoin. Ideally, they don't get sucked into Dogecoin and Crackcoin and Shiba and all this stuff. They just focus on Bitcoin. That's what I hope. But even if you don't, just make sure Bitcoin's part of your portfolio. Bitcoin doesn't just improve your wealth. It like teaches you things. It teaches you about time preference and about looking after yourself and, you know, thinking of other people. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but it is true. Like, it's changed my entire approach to life.
Hey, what's up? And thank you for watching this video. If you enjoy this video and this content, make sure you hit the subscribe button below, put the notifications on, and I assure you, you'll love this content and these videos.